Let's get started with our first news. Nassourdine Imavov versus Caio Borralho is suddenly gaining serious attention, and the reason is simple: drama and bad blood. The #1 ranked UFC middleweight contender, Nassourdine Imavov, has made it official. He will no longer be serving as the backup fighter for the highly anticipated bout between Dricus du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev. In a bold and aggressive post on X, Imavov declared, "No backup anymore. Conditions changed. You wanted to talk, son? I'm here. I'm going to break you." This was a clear message, not just to the UFC matchmakers, but directly aimed at Caio Borralho, who has long been circling Imavov in the rankings. He added just 2 words to make it crystal clear: Caio Borralho, and that was enough to light the fuse. Caio didn't stay silent. In fact, he clapped back hard. He responded with, "Finally stopped hiding, huh? You don't call anything, you do what you're told. You tried to avoid this fight for so long, and everybody knows that. Now, you will do exactly what I commanded. Fight me. I make the rules here. Say bye-bye to France. I'm sending you back to Dagestan." This response wasn't just trash talk. It was a full-on challenge loaded with venom. Caio is essentially accusing Nassourdine of ducking him for months, perhaps even years, and is now painting him as someone who's finally been forced into the fight. The intensity of this exchange has MMA fans buzzing, with both fighters now seeming more than ready to throw down. This matchup now has all the makings of a must-watch middleweight showdown. Both are rising stars, undefeated in confidence, and driven by national pride and personal vendetta. Imavov represents France, but hails from Dagestan, a place known for producing some of the toughest fighters on the planet. Caio, representing Brazil, is no less intense, and his words suggest he's ready to turn this into a personal war. If this fight gets officially booked, it won't just be about rankings, it'll be about respect, payback, and dominance. Now, moving on to the second news. Daniel Cormier shares his thoughts on Islam Makhachev's potential retirement plans, and fans have every reason to be concerned. It all began when Javier Mendez, Islam's longtime coach, spoke to Submission Radio and revealed that he believes Islam may only have 3 fights left before walking away from the sport. In his words, "I'm anticipating we'll see Islam hopefully for maybe another 3 fights total. Let's see who's in the works on that. If we get by JDM. That statement instantly grabbed attention. It didn't take long for Daniel Cormier to respond, and as someone who's close to both Islam and Javier, and who witnessed Khabib Nurmagomedov's sudden retirement, his take carried weight. Cormier said that MMA fans should be worried. He reminded everyone that the last time we heard someone speak this way, it was Khabib, and when Khabib said he was done, he meant it. He walked away, undefeated, and never looked back. And now, here we are again, hearing that Islam might only fight 3 more times, including Jack Della Maddalena. Cormier stressed that right there is where our energy should be spent as Islam fans, because the idea that another dominant champion is even thinking about retirement when he's young, healthy, and at the top of his game feels shocking. Why would he retire now? He's the world champion. He's absolutely dominating his division, and he's on the verge of challenging for a second belt to become a double champ. So why even consider stepping away? That's what makes it all so confusing. And frankly, SAD, Daniel said he doesn't believe the pattern is going to change. Fighters today are choosing to leave the game earlier, on their own terms, and that's difficult for fans to accept. He added, "The only comfort here is that Islam himself hasn't said it directly. It's Javier speculating. But if Islam does come forward and says, 'I've got 3 fights left,' that will hit hard. Fans will have to lock in, embrace every moment, and prepare to say goodbye, because there are still so many fights we want to see. Jack Della Maddalena, Kamaru Usman, Ilia Tapiria. The idea that those matchups could vanish forever? It's crazy, and it's something every MMA fan is hoping won't come true." Moving on to another news. Alexander Vulcanowski believes Jack Della Maddalena will be extremely difficult to take down, especially for someone like Islam Makhachev. As the conversation around Islam potentially moving up to welterweight heats up, Volk has made it clear that Jack is not going to be an easy challenge, particularly when it comes to grappling. Speaking about the matchup, Vulcanowski broke down why he thinks JDM is going to be a real problem for Islam. He referenced Jack's most recent fight, a dominant performance against Belal Muhammad, where Jack stuffed takedown after takedown with relative ease. That fight, according to Volk, was the perfect setup for what lies ahead. He explained, "You take a lot from stopping takedowns like that, not just physically, but mentally. Every fighter deals with doubt. Even Jack, heading into that fight, probably had thoughts like, What if he gets me down? What if I can't get back up? But the fact that Jack not only stopped the takedowns, but looked so comfortable doing it changes everything. It's a major confidence boost. And Volk said he guarantees that Jack has leveled up again after that performance. Now, with Islam potentially next in line, Jack will enter training camp with a whole new level of self-belief. Vulcanowski made it clear, if Jack is training right now, guys in his gym trying to take him down are probably struggling. It's going to be almost impossible. According to Volk, only the absolute top tier of grapplers will even have a chance of taking Jack down, and holding him down is going to be a completely different challenge. That's how much his defense has improved. Vulcanowski even hinted that former champions like Kamaru Usman had trouble holding opponents down once they'd built up this kind of defensive rhythm, and while he didn't finish the thought, it was clear that he's putting Jack in that elite category now. So as Islam fans look ahead to a possible move up to 170, the question becomes, can Islam's world-class wrestling overcome Jack's rapidly evolving takedown defense? According to Alexander Vulcanowski, that may be one of the toughest challenges Islam has ever faced. Moving on to another news, Tom Aspinall is now openly calling for a trilogy with Curtis Blaydes, and it's a development that could shift the heavyweight division's direction if the current uncertainty around Jon Jones continues. In a recent appearance on The Rome Show, the conversation focused on the highly anticipated and but still unofficial a matchup between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall. Despite months of fan speculation and industry buzz, we still don't have any real answers. Everyone is wondering whether Jon Jones will return to defend his title, or whether the UFC will finally move forward and crown a new undisputed champion. UFC President Dana White addressed the issue and tried to provide some clarity. He said Jon Jones has never turned down an opponent or been afraid to fight anybody. We'll see how this thing plays out over the next couple weeks. If we can't get this fight done, we'll move on quickly. We'll have answers in the next couple weeks. That statement raised eyebrows. While it suggests Jon is not ducking the challenge, it also reveals that the UFC is losing patience. And with no confirmation in sight, Tom Aspinall is clearly thinking ahead and looking at other options. Shortly after Dana's comments aired, Aspinall posted something intriguing on Threads. He wrote, "Training for so many different opponents can be hard work. Trilogy against Blaydes." That single line was enough to ignite speculation across the MMA community. The story between Aspinall and Blaydes already has depth. Their first fight ended in disappointment after Aspinall suffered a knee injury just seconds into the match. The rematch, however, saw Aspinall come back strong and beat Blaydes convincingly, showcasing his elite skill set and cementing himself as a top-tier heavyweight. A trilogy would not only settle the score between two of the division's best, but it would also keep Aspinall active while the Jon Jones saga plays out. Fans are eager to see resolution, either a unification bout with Jones or a clear #1 contender established through another high-level fight. Right now, the clock is ticking, and if the Jones fight doesn't happen soon, it looks like Tom Aspinall is ready to turn the page and chase unfinished business with Curtis Blaydes. Moving on to another news, Magomed Ankalaev has once again called out Alex Pereira, reigniting tensions between two of the top contenders in the UFC's light heavyweight division. This ongoing feud is starting to boil over, and fans are now wondering if the UFC will finally make the fight happen. Just last week, Pereira posted an update on Instagram, announcing that he's officially begun training camp for his next bout. That alone was enough to stir interest, but the drama escalated when Ankalaev fired back with a sharp accusation, claiming Pereira is actively ducking him. On Tuesday, Ankalaev responded to a promotional ad posted by the UFC, which featured Pereira alongside MMA legend Mauricio Rua by writing, "This is why he don't want to fight." It was a jab not just at Pereira's media appearances, but a pointed claim that Pereira is avoiding real competition while staying in the spotlight. As fans eagerly wait for an official announcement, Pereira added more fuel to the speculation by posting a video of himself on social media, weighing in at a massive 243 pounds. That's well above the 205-pound light heavyweight limit, sparking talk that he may be considering a move to heavyweight. This shift could open up some intriguing possibilities, especially if the long-rumored bout between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall fails to materialize. As reported by the Mac Life's Oscar Willis, if Jon is out, let's cancel Pereira versus Ankalaev and do Aspinall versus Pereira. The idea of Pereira jumping into the heavyweight division isn't entirely new. He's teased it before, but made it clear that if he were to make that that transition, he'd want proper time to bulk up, adjust, and train at the new weight. Still, with the uncertainty surrounding Jon Jones and the UFC's need for big money matchups, Pereira's move to heavyweight could come sooner than expected, and if that happens, the highly anticipated clash with Anklay may be left behind, unresolved and possibly forgotten. For now, everything hinges on the UFC's next moves. Will they book Pereira versus Anklay and settle the score? Or will Pereira chase a new legacy in a whole new weight class? Either way, fans are watching closely. Now, moving on to another news, Ilia Tapiria runs into Movsar Evloev and sends a threat. Ilia Tapiria came face to face with Movsar Evloev after years of trash talk, and it wasn't friendly. In a recent interview with Satana Sports Georgia, the former featherweight king shared details of the unexpected run-in with his longtime rival. These two undefeated fighters have a heated history. They were originally scheduled to fight years ago, but the bout fell through when Evloev pulled out, sparking a long-running feud that spilled over online. Both fighters kept firing shots over the years, but the cage never locked behind them. Now, with El Matador officially moved up to lightweight, many believe the rivalry was dead, but Movsar doesn't see it that way. He recently said he'll do whatever it takes to defeat Tapiria, even if that means following him up to 155. And even if El Matador were to lose at lightweight, Movsar stated his goal would remain the same: to take him out. That alone shows how personal this beef still is. Still, the fight doesn't seem likely anytime soon. For Movsar to face Ilia at 155, he'd have to move up a weight class and leapfrog a stacked division full of killers, and that kind of fast tracking is rare, unless there's massive hype. Meanwhile, Tapiria looked absolutely beefed up in his Satanta interview, physically showing that he's embracing life as a lightweight. Trash talk has its limits. I never bring up someone's wife, kids, or family. There are lines you don't cross. Evloev has crossed them. He and his team have repeatedly stepped over boundaries with the things they've said. In my Georgian culture, in our code of ethics, that kind of talk has no place. No proud Georgian would ever carry himself that way. First of all, it doesn't suit a man to run his mouth like that. If you're a man, carry yourself with some class. And if you have something to say to me, say it to my face. I actually ran into him once. He said nothing, stayed completely silent, didn't even look at me, like a scared coward he is. Then he went back online and started talking again. I don't know why he keeps doing that, but for everything he's said, there will be consequences. He will pay for it. I'd gladly take his head off, but why do it in the street? I usually do it inside the octagon and get paid a lot.